Yo guys, what is going on? Daggers here, back again for the second episode of this video series, Vanilla Dungeon Transmog Farming. Last time we took a look at Wailing Caverns and BFD, which had some high value unique items. But this time for episode 2, we are going to be looking at what I will call Loot Pool B. And that's going to include Maraudon, Maul, Razorfen Downs, and Razorfen Kraul. Kraul? RFK. Most of these dungeons are also going to have these unique high value items, but we will get into that later on. As there is double the dungeons for this week's video, guys, that is why it's taken some time. There's a lot of research gone into this, and I hope some of you guys can find it useful. As it is quite a niche video, if you enjoy, please like and subscribe for the rest of the series. They should come out a bit quicker because this is the one with the largest loot pool. Also, if you share with anyone you know who is interested in these kind of videos, that would be awesome. And similar with the last video, before we jump into the different transmog items, let's have a quick look at the dungeons themselves first. Starting over on Kalimdor's west coast, first of all, we have Maraudon. So there are two entrances to Maraudon. One, you follow these orange crystals, and the other entrance, you follow these purple crystals. Either one of these entrances is totally fine, as the route that we want to take to maximize farming the transmog is going to go from one entrance all the way to the other and then reset and go again. Now, doing this route, you do skip a few of the bosses and the final part of the dungeon, but this part of the dungeon is just very spread out and not many mobs to kill. The only issue with Maraudon is that it is not going to drop any unique blue items for high amounts of gold. So it might be more worth your time to farm the other dungeons. But this is a very straightforward route from one end to the other and reset and go again. So I suppose it is quite quick. So guys, coming out of Maraudon, we will move over to our next dungeon, which is actually kind of 3 dungeons. It's going to be Maul, not far away in Veralis. And with Maul, there are 3 entrances to 3 different wings, which all share a lockout. You've got the east entrance just here on the map, you've got the north entrance in the north, and then the west entrance down here in the west as well. Now, these 3 instances do share a lockout, like I mentioned, so if you are running one of them, you'll hit that instance cap quite quickly of 10, so you can just run one, then the next, and then reset, and it will reset all 3 of them. In Maul, you will also find quite a bit of Fellcloth, which is fairly consistent at selling very well. And also there is a book throughout all 3 wings, which is linked to the Paladin Hidden Appearance Legion artifact. So this sells decently as well on the auction house. There is 1 per run. I will show it on screen here, but I'm not going to show the locations because there is so many in each wing, and there's 1 per run. Just keep an eye out for it and you should spot it. In the east entrance, if you would like to try and go all the way through the dungeon, you do need to kill, I believe, all of the bosses up until this room here, because you need to talk to this tree, and he is going to break down the door for you. So if you speak to him, there's no way to interact with him, then it's probably that you haven't killed one of the previous bosses, just for you to be aware of. And then similarly over in the west entrance, that is where you need to kill these elementals surrounding these pillars. When you do kill one, you'll see on the right hand side that you have 1 out of 5. After you've gotten 5, then it will drop the barrier to one of the bosses. This is just if you want to finish the dungeon rather than just farm the transmog. So guys, coming out of Maul, and the next dungeon we're going to move over to in the Southern Barrens is RFK. The only things I want to mention about this dungeon is just the location of the 4 different chests that can spawn. The first one is going to be here on the map, the second one here on the map, the third here, and the 4th here. Other than that, there is some traps that you can set off to spawn additional mobs for a higher chance of getting some loot. But if you're trying to speedrun it, you can avoid these completely, as they are just going to slow you down. And guys, RFK, similar to any dungeon that doesn't have an easy way to get back out to reset, just use the method of creating your own group in the custom section of the group finder. And then after you've created that group, leaving the party, and it will teleport you out within a minute. And you can do this in any instance. And then very close by, guys, we have RFD as well. In RFD, the exact same thing. I just want to talk about some of the chest locations, as you really should try and loot these whenever you can. Some will be locked, some won't be locked, the same as RFK. So you can bring a character that has a way to pick the locks, be it from professions or a rogue. The first chest in RFD is going to spawn quite early in the dungeon here. Then you're going to have this area a bit further in, which has a chance to actually spawn 2 chests in the same spot, which is really, really handy. And then after that, further into the dungeon, as you go up this spiral, there's a few different huts on the way up, and supposedly every single hut has a chance to spawn a chest. So guys, now that we've been over the different dungeons, as always in all of these videos, I just want to do a very quick disclaimer just to say that these unique blue items, they have a very low drop chance and you may not see them for quite a while. Also, they have a very high gold value in general, but it may take you a really long time to sell them. It might involve a lot of posting over and over again. Gold values will fluctuate quite significantly from server to server. I do put my server, which is a high population, low value realm for Transmog, which will give you a good idea if you're also on a high pop realm. Then finally, if you are after a very specific item out of this video, I would recommend just giving it a quick search on Wowhead to just double check where it drops and who drops it, to give yourself a little bit more of a chance as well. Okay guys, that's me said everything. Let's jump into the different items. So guys, the beginning of loot pool B is going to start in primarily Maraudon and RFK. Our first set, the Dokebi set, you can see the belt is selling for quite a bit across EU regions, but you will notice it's not in any of the locations. That means it drops in the open world. That's what you might find throughout these sets. Some of the pieces sell for more because they are harder to farm in the open world. The Pathfinder set here as well, 9,000 gold on that belt, and it is dropping in BFD. The Raincaller set, some people consider these shoulders and helm to not really go with the set, but I thought I would include them anyway. Of course, you can tell from the helm here, barely selling for any gold. The Resilient set, this one as well, surprisingly, those bracers going for quite a lot on the EU region, but not very much on Draenor. The Robust set as well, some higher selling pieces at the bottom here, but you will notice that the boots are not dropping and the legs are not dropping in any of the dungeons. So these are going to be in the open world and probably very challenging to farm. Sentries as well, here we get quite a few higher selling pieces, even on Draenor for the gloves. You'll find those in BFD though, not in this loot pool that I was covering with Maraudon and RFK. The Slayer set, looking pretty cool with this horned helmet, and the boots selling for a lot actually here, and again probably in the open world, so not finding them in these dungeons unfortunately. And now the Watcher's set, again this one's selling for quite a bit with the chest, not so much on Draenor, and yeah, you'll find that in Maraudon and RFK. The Wicked Chain set, I believe, is our last set that is just going to be spread across Maraudon, RFK, and BFD. I mean, this one not in BFD. The brace is selling for a lot, and what a surprise, they are not dropping in the dungeons. But of course, farming these items that are in the open world is going to be an extremely long amount of time to find them, maybe never finding them, whereas if you can just pick up a lot of these other pieces with a higher drop chance in the dungeon, overall you're going to make more gold. Ghostwalker set here, this one probably is a vendor deal. This one's going to be not really worth your time selling depending on your realm. And then we have the Headhunter set. This one, I'm not sure about this one, maybe I'll have to get this transmog. This guy looking fresh, most of his body showing. Yeah, and again, not too much gold on Draenor. The Pillager set, also quite a weird set to be honest, but yeah, selling not bad across the EU realms on Draenor as well. I mean, some of the pieces are not too bad as well. The Stonecloth set here, the chest selling pretty well across the EU regions, the EU realms, but Draenor, most of it is selling for really for pennies. And the thick scale set, I believe the last set that is going to be just across these 3 dungeons of Dire Maul, Maraudon and RFK. Slightly better than some of the others, but not too much again. Now into the sets which are going to drop across all 4 of our dungeons. The Embersilk set to start. Selling slightly better than the previous ones that we've seen. And then the Geomancers as well, dropping across most of the dungeons. RFD only a few pieces, Dire Maul and Maraudon dropping all of the set. The Marauders set. Same deal with this one, dropping fully in Dire Maul and Maraudon, but only a few pieces in RFD, the higher pieces and the lower pieces in RFK. And then guys, we have the Steadfast set. This one similar, dropping in Dire Maul and Maraudon fully, and then a few pieces in the other dungeons. Not bad gold across the board on some realms, but Draenor, maybe not worth it. And then guys, we have the Trickster set. And at this point, I'm just kind of speaking. If anyone is listening, this one is selling for around 2k for most pieces. Okay, maybe a little bit less, 1,500. And then we are moving into the Ancient set. This one dropping in RFD, Dire Maul and Maraudon. No more RFK. And this one similar, selling about 1 to 1.5k on EU realms. And then the Bloodforged set. This one looks pretty cool and dropping in RFD and Dire Maul now. No more Maraudon. This one selling a bit more on EU realms, a few pieces for about 2k. And then the Bloodwoven set. This one really cheap, really, across EU and Draenor. A lot of the pieces even selling for under 100 gold. Gonna find the whole set in the Dire Maul wings. And the Bonelink set, I think this one looks pretty cool as well. All the pieces dropping across RFD and Dire Maul. Some of the pieces selling for 2k, some down to about 80 gold. Oh, 49 gold there. The Saltstone set. This one is weirdly all selling for a lot more gold. This seems to be the one to go for. Some of the pieces 70k almost on the EU realms. And then the Symbolic set. This one also a bit more expensive across the EU realms. On Draenor, most of the pieces are fairly cheap currently, but in general seems to be a bit better. And then the Tyrant set. This one a bit cheaper than the last 2, but some of the pieces still selling for a decent amount of gold on some realms. And I think we're getting pretty close to the... Oh, that is the end. Okay. Now onto the RFK items. Now, you will see here, guys, some of the items are in a kind of gold color. This means that they are a unique appearance and you're not going to find it anywhere else. So these in general will maybe sell for a bit more gold, although you can see with the Holy Shroud and the Black Knight, they're not selling for a huge amount. These bracers selling for 50k across the EU realms, but only 5k currently on Draenor. And this one, you've got those big items at the bottom, Pison's Old Greatsword and Vendetta, selling for over 90k on some realms, and the Old Greatsword selling fairly high value on Draenor as well, 30k. I did find this one actually in RFK when I was in there, just trying to film some things, and I actually picked this one up. Pretty lucky. Let's see if I can sell it in the next few days. Now on to RFD. RFD, this first set of items, none of them unique appearances, but some of them with quite high value on some realms. You'll see this Death's Head vestment is 60k on EU region, but 800 gold on Draenor. I think I should have picked this up. When did I see this? Okay. Whoops. Maybe it's not 800 gold anymore. I'll have to check. And then almost all of these items are unique appearance, and that is going to make them quite a bit more expensive, including the Manslayer and the Bone Slasher at the bottom, going for over 200k. The Bone Slasher is still selling for a high amount of gold on Draenor as well, but the Manslayer quite a lot cheaper at 12k. And then Dire Maul also has some unique items. It's got this Fire Mane leggings, also that book, which you will find 1 per run, selling for about 1k on Draenor. But these Fire Mane leggings selling actually better on Draenor than across all of EU, so that's surprising. Same with the cloak, the Eidolon. How many names can I butcher in this video? 280k on Draenor. So guys, there we have it. We've made it to the end in this last 2 weeks. There was a few moments I didn't think that we would get here, to be honest, with Resolve crashing on me 500 times, but we've made it. And I just wanted to say a few things at the end. Sorry about the wait. Obviously, yeah, it's a longer one, biggest loot pool, so it obviously took quite a bit of time. The rest should be quite a bit quicker. And then I would say a big thank you for all the support on the video from before. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate the feedback as well. That's the only way that I can make these videos better, is by you guys telling me what can change. Most of that feedback I did try to implement in this video. There was a few things like the sell rate, which I didn't manage to get in here. I kind of struggled to find a reliable, complete sell rate for all the different items. There is TSM's in-game one, which as far as I know is the only way to tell that, but if you have a better way, please let me know, because that in-game one doesn't seem to cover all the items. It would be quite an incomplete list for the video. And then the routes, I kind of went over one of the routes for Maraudon, and then Dire Maul I didn't really cover. For me, I'm just running Dire Maul all the way from start to finish. I didn't really have a specifically different route, I suppose, and I didn't want the video to be too long, so I didn't go over that. I would recommend watching Student if you know his channel, and he has routes for most of these dungeons. Also, I did create and use a spreadsheet throughout this video. It is pretty scuffed, to be honest. I kind of changed things as I went, but I can maybe tidy that up a bit and post that as well. And then obviously the data for the gold values is going to be outdated straight away. I haven't got it so that it will update. I probably could make that, but it would take me some time because I have very limited coding or programming knowledge. It would probably take me a couple of weeks to work that out, to be honest. Anyways, guys, that is everything I have to say in this one. Thanks again so much for the support. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone's having a wicked day today. This has been Daggers. Peace!